There are battles no one claps for. No visible opponent. No clear finish line. Yet the weight is heavy. This is the kind of struggle that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't interrupt your life dramatically. It simply lives beneath the surface, steady, persistent, quiet. You wake up and function. You speak, you move, you fulfill responsibilities. But inside, something is being tested. Not your strength in public, your endurance in private. And that is where resilience is truly formed. Some battles are fought in silence, not because they are small, but because they are personal. They exist in thoughts you don't voice, in fears you manage quietly, in pressure you carry without complaint. These battles don't look dramatic from the outside, but internally they demand discipline, patience, and restraint. They shape character more deeply than visible struggles ever could, because no one is watching, and still you must choose integrity. The unseen is heavy because it lacks validation. There is no recognition for restraint, no applause for holding yourself together, no acknowledgement for choosing peace instead of reaction. And yet these decisions require immense strength. It is easier to fight a visible enemy than to endure an internal one. Internal battles demand self-awareness, emotional regulation, spiritual grounding. They require you to remain stable while uncertainty lingers. This kind of strength is rarely celebrated, but it is deeply respected by the soul. Society often equates strength with visibility, with boldness, with assertiveness, with dominance. But true resilience does not always raise its voice. Sometimes strength looks like staying calm when misunderstood, remaining faithful when unseen, holding your ground without needing to explain. This quiet strength is not weakness. It is mastery, and mastery is formed through repeated inner alignment. Unseen battles often appear without preparation. A shift in responsibility, a sudden disappointment, an unanswered question that lingers longer than expected. You may not feel ready. You may not feel equipped. But readiness is not always felt. It is revealed through response. Resilience is discovered in motion, not anticipation. And each quiet victory builds capacity for the next. One of the heaviest aspects of unseen battles is isolation. Not physical isolation, but emotional and spiritual solitude. You may be surrounded by people and still feel alone in your struggle. This is where the spirit is tested. Will it harden under pressure, or deepen through reflection? Strength is not about pretending you are unaffected. It is about choosing how pressure shapes you. Resilience is not a single trait. It is layered. It includes patience when answers delay, courage when clarity feels distant, steadiness when emotions fluctuate. Each layer is added through experience. Each unseen battle strengthens a different part of the soul. What feels overwhelming now may later become evidence of growth. A spirit that will not be shaken is not immune to difficulty. It simply refuses to be uprooted by it. It remains grounded in truth rather than circumstance, anchored in faith rather than outcome, stabilized by conviction rather than approval. This grounding does not happen overnight. It is cultivated through consistent alignment, especially when no one is watching. Sometimes the greatest misunderstanding is underestimating yourself. You may focus on what feels unresolved while overlooking what you have already survived. Resilience often reveals itself in hindsight. The fact that you are still standing, still reflective, still seeking alignment, is evidence of strength, not accidental strength. Earned strength. Before we move further, the heart must slow, not to escape reality, but to understand it. This is not a moment for urgency. This is a moment for grounding, because the strength required for unseen battles is not drawn from haste, but from clarity, and clarity grows in stillness. Some battles do not end quickly. They repeat. The same thoughts resurface. The same pressure returns. The same questions linger without resolution. This repetition is exhausting, not because it is dramatic, but because it is persistent. And yet repetition is where resilience is formed, not in moments of sudden breakthrough, but in the discipline of showing up again, with the same integrity, the same steadiness, the same commitment to alignment. Strength deepens through familiarity with endurance. There are seasons when relief feels delayed. You do the right things. You remain faithful. You choose patience. And still nothing shifts externally. This is where many lose footing, because strength is often mistaken for momentum. And when momentum stalls, confidence wavers. But resilience is not dependent on change. It is rooted in stability. Standing firm without immediate relief is one of the purest expressions of strength. There is a kind of determination that does not announce itself. It does not seek acknowledgement. It does not demand recognition. It simply continues. This quiet determination is not fueled by excitement. It is sustained by conviction. Conviction that growth is occurring even when unseen. Conviction that alignment matters more than outcome. Conviction that giving up would cost more than continuing. This is resilience without spectacle. Unseen battles often drain emotional energy, not because they are chaotic, but because they are constant. Emotional fatigue sets in quietly. You may notice diminished enthusiasm, increased sensitivity, subtle discouragement. These are not failures. They are signals. Resilience includes discernment, recognizing when rest is required, when reflection is needed, when recalibration must occur. Strength honors limits without surrendering purpose. Uncertainty destabilizes many, not because uncertainty is dangerous, but because it removes control. And control often feels like safety. But true resilience does not rely on certainty. It relies on grounding in truth, grounding in faith, grounding in identity that is not outcome dependent. When outcomes remain undefined, the spirit learns to stand on conviction alone. This standing reshapes the soul. Survival keeps you functional. Strengthening makes you stable. Survival focuses on getting through. Strengthening focuses on becoming grounded. Unseen battles invite a choice, to merely endure, or to grow inwardly while enduring. Resilience develops when endurance is paired with reflection, when experiences are not just endured, but integrated. Faith is often misunderstood as optimism, but faith is steadiness without evidence. It remains anchored even when confirmation is absent. It chooses trust without visible reinforcement. This kind of faith stabilizes the spirit. It prevents reactionary decisions. It guards against emotional volatility. It anchors identity when circumstances fluctuate. Faith does not eliminate uncertainty. It prevents uncertainty from destabilizing you. Pressure does not always come from outside. Often it originates within. The pressure to perform, the pressure to progress visibly, the pressure to justify endurance. Resilience requires resisting this internal pressure, not by denial, but by discernment. Understanding that not every season demands output. Some seasons demand fortification. And fortification is not wasted time. Unseen battles are rarely chosen. They arrive uninvited, and yet presence within them matters. Resilience grows when you stop resisting the reality of the moment and begin working within it. Presence does not mean approval. It means acceptance without surrender. This acceptance frees energy for growth. At this stage, something shifts, not externally. Internally, the heart begins to settle. The mind grows quieter. The spirit steadies. This is not resolution. It is readiness. Readiness for deeper grounding. Readiness for sustained strength. Readiness for prayer that is anchored, not desperate. Pressure has a way of questioning identity. Not directly, but subtly. It whispers doubts about capability. It raises questions about endurance. It challenges whether you are built for what you're facing. But a spirit that will not be shaken does not derive identity from circumstance. It is rooted deeper, rooted in truth that does not fluctuate with pressure, rooted in faith that does not collapse under strain, rooted in purpose that is not dependent on ease. When identity is grounded, pressure loses its power to redefine you. One of the hardest lessons of unseen battles is learning to remain strong without affirmation. No applause, no acknowledgement, no reassurance from others. This absence can feel unsettling, but resilience grows when strength is no longer fueled by recognition, when commitment remains intact without encouragement, when faith continues without validation, when effort persists without feedback. This is strength refined. It becomes internal, not performative. There are seasons when effort does not produce visible response. You move forward, yet nothing shifts. You remain consistent, yet results delay. This can create frustration. But resilience learns to separate effort from outcome. Standing firm during unresponsive seasons teaches patience without passivity. It conditions the spirit to trust process over immediacy, and that trust stabilizes the soul. Every resilient spirit has an anchor, something that holds when external structures feel unstable. This anchor is not circumstance, not people, not outcomes. It is conviction that purpose exists beyond perception. Conviction that growth is occurring beneath visibility. Conviction that alignment matters even when progress is hidden. Anchored spirits do not drift with uncertainty. They remain steady even when clarity unfolds slowly. Quiet strength does not demand attention. It does not announce resilience. It does not dramatize endurance. Because of this, it is often overlooked. But quiet strength carries depth. It absorbs pressure without breaking. It remains composed without denial. It moves forward without spectacle. This type of strength shapes character more deeply than visible victories. Not all growth is visible. Some of the most important changes occur internally, in perspective, discernment, and emotional regulation. These changes may feel subtle, but they redefine how challenges are approached. Resilience matures when trust is placed not only in outcomes, but in internal development. When you trust what is forming within you, external delays lose their power to destabilize. Faith supports unseen progress. It allows movement without constant reassurance. It sustains endurance without immediate clarity. Faith does not remove uncertainty. It reframes it. It reminds the spirit that uncertainty does not equal absence of direction. It teaches patience without discouragement. And this faith stabilizes the inner world. Unseen battles often provoke comparison, not with others, but with who you think you should be by now. This internal measurement creates pressure. Resilience releases this habit. It understands that strength is contextual, that growth is non-linear, that timing is not uniform. By releasing measurement, the spirit regains peace. Internal noise can be louder than external conflict. Thoughts compete. Emotions fluctuate. Questions linger. Resilience involves grounding amidst this noise, not by silencing thoughts, but by anchoring attention. Grounding keeps the spirit centered when the mind feels unsettled. This grounding is a learned practice, and it deepens stability. At this point, resilience has matured, not into invincibility, but into steadiness. A spirit that will not be shaken is not untouched by struggle. It is simply rooted deeper than what it faces. This rooting prepares the heart for a different kind of prayer, one that is not reactive, but grounded. There are seasons when life does not feel hostile, just uncertain. Nothing is actively falling apart. Nothing is clearly resolving either. And this in-between space can be more exhausting than crisis, because the mind keeps searching for something solid to stand on. Plans feel tentative. Decisions feel heavier than usual. Even simple choices seem to carry more weight than they should. In these moments, the unseen battle is not chaos, it is instability, a subtle sense of being unanchored. And this is where the spirit is quietly tested, not with pain, but with ambiguity. A spirit that will not be shaken learns how to remain grounded, even when clarity is incomplete. It does not demand certainty before standing firm. It does not postpone peace until answers arrive. Instead, it chooses steadiness as an inner posture. Grounding becomes an internal discipline, not a reaction to external reassurance. Human instinct craves resolution. We want things to make sense. We want timelines. We want confirmation that effort is leading somewhere specific. But unseen battles often withhold resolution, not as punishment, but as formation. Living without immediate answers stretches the spirit. It forces the heart to decide what it will lean on when understanding is delayed. Will it lean on anxiety, on overthinking, on constant analysis? Or will it lean on trust? Trust does not mean pretending uncertainty is comfortable. It means choosing not to let uncertainty dominate the inner world. This choice requires strength, quiet, deliberate strength. The kind that says, I will remain composed even if today does not explain itself. Life rarely pauses to accommodate internal processing. Responsibilities continue. Expectations remain. People still need you to show up. And all the while, unseen battles are unfolding internally. This is where inner composure becomes essential. Composure is not emotional numbness. It is emotional regulation. It is the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by feeling. To acknowledge strain without surrendering stability. A resilient spirit learns how to move through daily life without allowing inner turbulence to spill outward uncontrollably. This composure is not accidental. It is cultivated through awareness, reflection, and faith. And over time, it becomes a quiet strength that others may never notice. But you will feel it anchoring you. Discouragement often enters when attention drifts too far ahead, when the mind lives in imagined futures, when it rehearses outcomes that have not yet occurred. Unseen battles intensify when presence is lost. A spirit that will not be shaken learns to return to the present moment, again and again, not to escape responsibility, but to remain grounded where strength is available. Presence is powerful because it limits unnecessary mental weight. It narrows focus to what can be done now, not what might happen later. This discipline preserves energy, and preserved energy sustains resilience. Internal stability is often underestimated because it is not visible. There is no announcement when emotional maturity deepens, no marker when discernment sharpens, no ceremony when patience expands. But these internal developments change everything. They influence how pressure is handled, how disappointment is processed, how uncertainty is navigated. A spirit that will not be shaken trusts this internal work. It understands that visible change is not the only measure of progress. Sometimes the greatest growth is happening quietly, strengthening foundations that will support future expansion. And this trust allows the heart to rest, even while waiting. At this point in the journey, something important happens. The spirit stops bracing for impact and starts settling into endurance, not resignation, but resolve. Resolve to remain aligned, resolve to stay grounded, resolve to continue forward without inner fragmentation. This resolve is calm, not tense, focused, not frantic. It prepares the heart for the next movement. Not action yet, but invocation. Because prayer that follows grounding is different from prayer born of panic. Now let us pray. Father God, this morning I come before you not in panic, not in desperation, but in awareness, aware of the quiet battles that have tested me, aware of the weight I've carried without explanation, aware of the strength you have been forming in me, even when I could not see it clearly. I acknowledge that not every struggle has been visible, not every burden has had language, not every challenge has been understood by those around me. Yet you have seen all of it. You have seen the moments I chose restraint instead of reaction, the days I showed up even while feeling internally worn, the nights my mind searched for reassurance and my spirit learned to wait. Today I ask you to strengthen what you have already begun. Strengthen my inner foundation, not so I appear unshaken, but so I remain rooted when uncertainty surrounds me. Teach my spirit how to stay steady when answers take time. Teach my heart how to remain open without becoming fragile. Teach my mind how to release unnecessary weight that was never meant to be carried. I surrender the pressure to have everything figured out. I release the burden of controlling outcomes. I let go of the fear that whispers I must rush, prove, or perform to be secure. Replace that fear with clarity. Replace that pressure with peace. Replace that urgency with grounded trust. Father, fortify my spirit against discouragement that comes quietly, against doubt that creeps in subtly, against exhaustion that disguises itself as strength. Help me recognize when I need rest without guilt, reflection without judgment, stillness without self-criticism. I ask for resilience that is not loud but lasting, strength that does not demand recognition but remains faithful, endurance that does not harden my heart but deepens my discernment. When life feels uncertain, anchor me. When outcomes are unclear, steady me. When progress feels hidden, remind me that unseen work is still work. Let my spirit remain unshaken, not because life is easy, but because you are constant. Guard my inner world from instability. Protect my peace from unnecessary intrusion. Shield my confidence from erosion caused by delay. Help me walk through today with quiet courage, with measured confidence, with grounded faith that does not depend on immediate results. If pressure arises, teach me how to respond without losing alignment. If fatigue appears, guide me toward restoration, not withdrawal. If doubt surfaces, remind me of the truth I am anchored in. Today I choose steadiness over strain, trust over tension, faith over fear. I trust you to hold what I cannot resolve yet. I trust you to guide what I cannot fully see. I trust you to strengthen what you have already planted within me. My spirit will not be shaken, not by uncertainty, not by delay, not by unseen battles, because you are my foundation. And I walk into this day grounded, fortified, and held. Amen. Strength does not always feel powerful. Sometimes it feels quiet. Sometimes it feels patient. Sometimes it feels like simply staying present when leaving would be easier. A spirit that will not be shaken is not untouched by pressure. It is rooted deeper than pressure can reach. Carry that awareness with you today. Not as armor, but as grounding. You are not behind. You are not fragile. You are not failing. You are forming. And what is being formed within you will hold when other things fall away. Move gently through this day. Stand steadily within it. Your spirit is stronger than you think.